Welcome to the Conscious Room. It's time to wake up and shine with a career and a life that you love. This episode is all about finding your voice. Yes, it's important in all parts of your life, especially in your career. So let's find out how to speak your truth with confidence and why sometimes you don't. So when we're finding our voice, the most important thing is to know more about who we are to get our message. And what better person to do that is the wonderful Josephine Corcoran. Welcome.
Thank you, Scarlett.
So in terms of finding your voice this year, how can they tap into themselves to find their voice?
So our voice is very much connected to that sense of knowing who we are and what is the message that we're wanting to put out there into the world. And in order to put that out into the world, we need to be very clear about what it is that our purpose is, what it is that we're here to do. It's about how can we offer up our skills to be able to support and help others to achieve goals. So in terms of really connecting into what our purpose is and what it is that we're here to do, it's difficult to do because we're in a busy world and we've got so many tasks that are being thrown at us. We've got lists as long as that we're never going to be able to feel like we're going to be able to finish.
And a never-ending list.
And so more than ever, mindfulness and being still and being calm and tapping into our intuition through allowing space for the creative thoughts to come through. Because when those creative thoughts come through, they're truly aligned to the essence of who we are. These days, in a working week, we actually need to make space for mindfulness activity as much as we do for the physical gym work and the cardio activity. So the reason that I became so passionate about using astrology in the corporate landscape was the power that it has to enable people to truly understand themselves, not just in terms of their strengths and the sorts of things that they need in the workplace, more importantly, to help them understand what their authentic purpose is. It is no longer going to work if you keep your ideas to yourself. So it's really important to stop worrying about what others think of what it is that you've got to say. It's time for us to step up and say what we believe in and explain why we believe in that, and to stand true in that.
If you think of it like art, like people go, oh, is my art good? It's just unique. So it's the same with ideas. It's like, think about your idea as a piece of art. Everybody's unique. No one else like you in the world.
That's right, yes.
I love that, thank you. What advice do you have to help people find their voice?
I think one of the things that people can do is through different ways of expression, connecting with their creative self. I believe all of us have a creative side. Connecting with the part of you, an aspect of you that is moved by beauty. And beauty is different. We perceive beauty all differently. But beauty could be watching a sunrise or sunset. Just what moves you. It's funny we're talking about, finding a voice, but it's an expression where words aren't enough. It is a creative expression of love. So one of the simple ways is to give yourself the space and include it in your practices, in your daily routines, where it could be for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. A lot of people do yoga, a lot of people do meditation. What we suggest is you might put on some music and move your body, or get out your art book and work with colors, because those very simple expressions opens the energy around your throat and your heart, which is connected in energy being freed. You're able to express yourself. When you're able to express yourself, we can express our truth, our emotions, minds with clarity because we have courage and confidence.
Wow, what words. I mean, in terms of finding your voice, that's a true voice. When you talk about voice and how we can express ourselves in the world, I can't think of a better person than to talk about that is with Irina Isabella. Welcome. So when we talk about voice, what is so interesting about, from your point of view, is how to express ourselves in that very deep way that really lies underneath the fundamental part of who we are as people.
If you know what you're here to do, then it's easy for you to express that. So that's finding your voice, knowing what you're here to do. Let's, for example, take orange. If you cut the orange and take the seed, if you put it in a soil, you cannot get lemon or banana.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, so because inside is a blueprint. So voice for an orange is like for her to be an orange. She doesn't want to be something else because it makes more money or because it's going to be more famous or whatever. But for us, we also have a blueprint inside, in our core, in our heart. And that's how easy is to do it. As a children, we know it. We have our voice and we know what we are here to do. But then the parents come in, the school, get the reel, get the job, get the plan B. But with finding your voice, there is no plan B. It is, if you connected to that seed inside, because we also have that. So it's easy then, it's automatic to have your voice when you are one with it. So you're not trying to be anything else. You're not trying to be a lawyer if your dream is to be a famous painter.
How do you connect? Because I know a lot of people, because I work in branding. What tip or advice would you give them to actually connect and find what that blueprint is?
How do you access it? It's the dreams. When you're dreaming, for example, you always dream to be a host. So that is your dream. So you dream about that, and then life takes you to the journey. You have to do branding, work in corporate world, a little bit here, the dance is a little bit there, but it's always to get you there to be a wonderful, charismatic host. You see, we dream, like we have little kids, they dream, they know they want to be a pilot, but parents, they want him to be a lawyer.
The seed is always there and it's showing itself.
What you're dreaming, daydreaming, what you're wanting, what you're desiring.
So it's kind of connecting with and listening to yourself and what those dreams are.
Yes. To trust
Right,
it.
yeah.
To trust it, because I don't dream to be a surgeon. Like there are kids and people who dream about that, but I don't. I don't dream to be a financial planner. Like I dream every day, like how to be great, intuitive, how to show that, how to teach that. I can't wait to go on the stage and talk. I can't wait to have a next client and help them to connect with it and teach them how. And it's fun. It's so much fun. It's wonderful.
And I love that you use the word blueprint, because it's just the fundamental part of us, like we're built to do that.
Exactly. And also, like seed of orange or any grain, any seed, if you leave it outside unattended and not in the right conditions, it can stay like that for thousands of years.
That's so scary. And I so see that. Like if you don't nurture that seed and you don't recognize
Make actions.
Make actions.
Yes.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, fearlessly. And not listening outside voices, because you know what's your voice inside. So you see how that's connected?
Yes.
And how it's wonderful and so easy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alina. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Hi, so this week I'm talking with Jules Brook from Handle Your Own PR. Super excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
And it's such an important part. PR now is such a big thing in the world, and it's actually part of our everyday. So today in the show we're talking about finding your voice, and I know that's all about PR.
Use your own voice to get that message out there. So because your voice is just as much a part of your identity as anything else, and certainly in my case, I have such a distinctive voice, I only need to get on the phone and say, hello, how are you? And they go, oh my God, it's you. Scarlett, I would know your voice very, very well. So that in a very literal way, there is a great stat, 85% of business owners spend less than $10,000 a year on marketing. And that something along the same statistics, somewhere around like 75 or 85% of people are doing it themselves. You need to get your own message out there in your own voice, and you need to make the contacts with the journalists and get to know what they're looking for. And that way they will know what it is that you stand for and what you care about, and they need that kind of a comment, then you're the person they're going to come to.
So what's one thing someone can do right now, today, to find their voice?
There is an app out there called Otter, OTTER.io, I think it is, if you look at it online. But go into the App Store and download it. It's free. Start recording like you would with voice memo on your phone. But what it'll do is translate it into text for you. And what you'll have at the end of it is an article or a whole lot of words anyway, in your own tone of voice, in the own language that you use. You can then use that as something that you could edit into a media release using the right tone, and then start to learn the way you speak.
Awesome tip. So Otter. And I know from doing your courses, you do go through some fabulous little tips that share about starting the process of getting clear about your message and your angle and how you can relate it to what's happening in the world.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jules.
How do you find your voice as a leader? For everyone, your visibility also affects the way your voice manifests itself. And so a new career could mean a different voice for you. It could be that you're in a job that you've been in for such a long time and your voice has been squashed because of the way or the culture of the organisation or the team you're in. So the visibility and voice go together, I believe.
So as a leader, you know, like, how do you find your voice? What tip would you give viewers?
Well, firstly, you have to find out what it is that you want to say. And then how are you going to go about that? And culturally speaking, no matter where you are in the globe, you take into account the aspects of the culture and be respectful of that, but also find the ways to make the most impact in what you do. So you can choose whether you want to use social media, whether you would prefer to be a speaker and facilitator. Speak to someone like yourself, Scarlett. You know, it's all about finding out what it is you have to say.
Yeah, and it is, and you can also say things through, like even as a blogger or your art. Like there's so many different ways that you can actually express your leadership in. So I love that too, the global side, the culture. How do you then take people on that journey? Because as a leader, you're taking them on the journey.
Well, the spaces that I can provide are all about what it is you want to say.
Yeah.
And then being able to say, have a think about it this way. Look at, here's some mechanisms or some tools to do some more discovery.
And this is why it's so important to do the workshops, whatever you're doing. I think in leadership, because Carrie does some amazing workshops and immersions in India and Australia, and I see that value is actually shifting your perspective and actually finding out what's going to work for you and what's going to resonate.
We, in our own backyard at this present time in Australia, we have had the most amazing visibility of ordinary people leading in extraordinary times.
Welcome, and this week we're with the gorgeous Julie Heim-Elliott. Welcome. And you are the perfect person to ask about finding your voice as a business owner to cut through all the clutter. What do you suggest to do?
The risk of not finding your voice and not saying something can have real impact and consequences, because you've got to be leading the business, you've got to be driving the business, you've got to be creating the vision, you've got to make sure everything in the business is aligning behind your vision for the business. So if something isn't going right and you let it go, it can have dire financial consequences.
I don't think people realise that having that vision, having the humanness of people going on that journey with you and being aligned is so imperative.
And the other thing that's really important to remember is in silence, people make stuff up. So
Love that. That's so true.
if you're silent on something, people assume that you're okay with that, it's acceptable. So therefore you have to have that voice, because otherwise people are going to go along thinking it's okay. And the other thing too is increasingly businesses need diversity. I personally am very strong on all aspects of diversity, but particularly diversity in thinking, I think, is the most important in a business. And of course, that's a function of all of the other types of diversity as well, because they influence each other, so they're not standalone. So you need everyone bring forward their thinking and their ideas, so finding their voice to articulate it so that you can get the best out of them and therefore make the best business that you can. So as the leader of the business, it's really important that not only do you find that in yourself for the reasons we've spoken about, but also you encourage that in your team.
Thank you. So finding your voice inside of the workplace can be very challenging.
Yeah, look, in the workplace, you're going to get all personalities. You know, the big thing is I go in there and help people find time. I help them run more efficient meetings. And a lot of people say, Murray, look, I go to these meetings, I'm in these project scenarios, and I've got all these ideas, but I'm not heard. One of the reasons for that is that there's always going to be a few dominant voices in that room. One that's about you believing in what you've got to say is valuable. And two, sometimes we rely on the more dominant person to retract a little bit as well. So that's, both parties have a bit of a responsibility.
So much happens in that room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many politics and stuff. What is someone, if they feel that they just can't speak up, what's something that they can do?
Key foremost is do your homework. Prep. Because the more prepped they are, like if you're a little bit nervous and you're prepped, if you get challenged or ask questions about whatever you're saying, you'll be more likely to feel confident.
It's actually like in PR, we talk about having your back pocket answer.
Yeah.
So you know it, or in a script, you're an ex-film, you know that if you have your script and then you throw it away, it's similar.
That's it. You can go fall back onto something. So that's the first thing. The other thing, Scarlett, I say is, you know what, if you've got a colleague or someone that you work with and they're a little bit more confident to speak up in public, maybe just to say, hey, I'm going to bring this up. Can you back me up? You know, I just want someone in the room who can back me up or be my voice just in case I freeze or I get really nervous.
Is there a particular way that you can interrupt?
Interrupt?
Like what's it? I'm thinking about how would you step in and kind of cut through? Any tip there?
Yeah, again, it depends on the environment. It depends on the people, the dynamic in the room. Like, is it a really formal environment? We've got a lot of senior people there. Is it your work colleagues? And sometimes it could just be, hey, I've got a great idea. Can I just chuck this in here? Or again, maybe before you start the conversation, there might even be a few protocols around how people can interject. And look, if you've got a good facilitator who's running that session, they will usually help people find their voice. They will facilitate it so everyone gets a say.
I know once when I didn't speak up, I remember putting my hand up at one point going, can I say something? But it worked.
It works. You know what? The good old school, can I say something, actually works. So you've just got to edge your way in there. And when you edge your way in and you've got the space, just own it. Believe in yourself. And again, it comes back to that. Just have faith in what you're saying does add value, because every one of us has something to say.
I love that they do have those. Awesome tips. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Scarlett.
How do you think people can find their voice today? It's very, very difficult because it's a very, very overcrowded market. And to find your own voice is something you've really got to concentrate on and believe in. You've got to actually believe in yourself, believe in your product, and have authenticity. Because I know that's what you help, and that's why you shifted out of PR, because you could see how important that part was. That's like the fundamental basis of every success for people. How do you help them find their message, or through the work that you do in coaching? Well, actually, that's a real process, because with a lot of people, it doesn't come naturally. And so they have to learn steps, coming back to love yourself. And I believe there's also certain ways you can do with your voice. If you sort of relax into yourself, drop your shoulders. There's a lot of body thing. And also, if you're actually with people and there's very loud people, you want to have a say, I believe the best thing to do is drop your voice an octave lower. If you can remember, if you are especially in a situation where it's a work situation or it's a really important situation, is that you must come from the heart. Whatever you're saying has to come from the heart, and also you have to be true to yourself. And therefore, people will listen to you because you're authentic. What's something someone can do right now to step into their authentic self to have better relationships?
One is to listen to yourself, which is your intuition.
What is the common issue that you see underlying everything?
Fear. And we all have it, and we all have to learn to conquer it.
So what is one thing that someone can do to kind of move through that anxiety or fear that happens?
Oh, I believe in meditation. A lot more people have now opened up to it, and their lives are so much better. Number one, they're happier. Number two, they're clearer in their thoughts.
I love it. In fact, when I do meditation, I find that time stretches. So during the day, I suddenly have more time to do everything, which is amazing. And I kind of go, oh, that was from that moment. Amazing. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed the episode on finding your voice and how amazing it is to listen to those incredible guests. And for me, I think it's really tapping into the message that you want to share with others and how you want to actually connect. So it's kind of a two-way conversation. It's not just about voicing yourself, it's the collaboration or the conversation that you have and the connection. I'm Scarlett Vespa, wishing you a great week with lots of love and sparkle.